Hi, everybody. This is the Bible reading for Section 1, Lesson 5. Father, I thank you for a new day. I ask that you open your word to us as we read, and I pray that you would bless whoever's watching this in Jesus' name. We're reading today Genesis 16 through 18 and Psalm 5. Genesis 16, Sarai and Hagar. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not borne him any children, and she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "See here, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. I am asking you to go into the bed of my maid, so that she may bear you a child. Perhaps I will obtain children by her." And Abram listened to Sarai and did as she said. After Abram had lived in the land of Canaan 10 years, Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar the Egyptian maid and gave her to her husband Abram to be his secondary wife. He went into the bed of Hagar, and she conceived, and when she realized that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress, regarding Sarai as insignificant because of her infertility. Then Sarai said to Abram, "May the responsibility for the wrong done to me by the arrogant behavior of Hagar be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms, and when she realized that she had conceived, I was despised and looked on with disrespect. May the Lord judge who has done right between you and me." But Abram said to Sarai, "Look, your maid is entirely in your hands and subject to your authority. Do as you please with her." So Sarai treated her harshly and humiliated her, and Hagar fled from her. But the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, on the road to Egypt by way of Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarai's maid, where did you come from, and where are you going?" And she said, "I am running away from my mistress, Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Go back to your mistress and submit humbly to her authority." Then the angel of the Lord said to her, "I will greatly multiply your descendants so that they will be too many to count." The angel of the Lord continued, "Behold, you are with child, and you will bear a son, and you shall name him Ishmael, God hears, because the Lord has heard and paid attention to your suffering. He, Ishmael, will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against every man continually fighting, and every man's hand against him, and he will dwell in defiance of all his brothers." Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are God who sees." For she said, "Have I not even here in the wilderness remained alive after seeing him who sees me with understanding and compassion?" Therefore the well was called Ber-lahai-roi, well of the living one who sees me. It is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave birth to Abram's son, and Abram named his son, to whom Hagar gave birth, Ishmael, God hears. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. Genesis 17. Abraham and the covenant of circumcision. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am God Almighty. Walk habitually before me with integrity, knowing that you are always in my presence, and be blameless and complete in obedience to me. I will establish my covenant everlasting promise between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly through your descendants." Then Abram fell on his face in worship, and God spoke with him, saying, "As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and as a result you shall be the father of many nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, exalted father, but your name shall be Abraham, father of the multitude, for I will make you the father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your descendants after you. I will give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, moving from place to place, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession of property, and I will be their God." Further, God said to Abraham, "As for you, your part of the agreement, you shall keep and faithfully obey the terms of my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is the sign of my covenant, which you shall keep and faithfully obey between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, And it shall be the sign, symbol, memorial of the covenant between me and you. Every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised throughout your generations, including a servant, whether born in the house or one who is purchased with your money from any foreigner who is not of your descendants. A servant who is born in your house or one who is purchased with your money must be circumcised, and the sign of my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. Then God said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, my princess, but her name shall be Sarah, princess. I will bless her, and indeed I will also give you a son by her. Yes, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings and peoples will come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, Oh, that Ishmael, my firstborn, might live before you. But God said, No, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son indeed, and you shall name him Isaac, laughter. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard and listened to you. Behold, I will bless him. I will make him fruitful, and will greatly multiply him through his descendants. He will be the father of 12 princes, chieftains, sheiks, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant, my promise, my solemn pledge, I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you this time next year. And God finished speaking with him and went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all the servants who were born in his house, and all who were purchased with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's household, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin the very same day, as God had said to him. So Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised. On the very same day Abraham was circumcised, as well as Ishmael his son. All the men, servants of his household, both those born in the house and those purchased with money from a foreigner, were circumcised along with him, as a sign of God's covenant with Abraham. Genesis 18, birth of Isaac promised. Now the Lord appeared to Abraham by the terebinth trees of Mamre in Hebron, while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. When he raised his eyes and looked up, behold, 3 men were standing a little distance from him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. And Abraham said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass by your servant without stopping to visit. Please let a little water be brought by one of my servants, and you may wash your feet and recline and rest comfortably under the tree. And I will bring a piece of bread to refresh and sustain you. After that you may go, since you have come to your servant. And they replied, Do as you have said. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, Quickly get ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and bake cakes. Abraham also ran to the herd and brought a calf, tender and choice, and he gave it to the servant to butcher, and he hurried to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before the men, and he stood beside them under the tree while they ate. Then they said to him, Where is Sarah your wife? And he said, There in the tent. He said, I will surely return to you at this time next year, and behold, Sarah your wife will have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door which was behind him. So now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in years. She was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself when she heard the Lord's words, saying, After I have become old, shall I have pleasure and delight, my Lord husband being also old? And the Lord asked Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh to herself, saying, Surely I will give birth to a child when I am so old? Is there anything too difficult or too wonderful for the Lord? At the appointed time, when the season for her delivery comes, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son. Then Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, because she was afraid. And he, the Lord, said, No, but you did laugh. Then the men got up from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham walked with them to send them on their way. The Lord said, Shall I keep secret from Abraham, my friend and servant, what I am going to do? Since Abraham is destined to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. For I have known, chosen, acknowledged him as my own, so that he may teach and command his children and the sons of his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is righteous and just, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has promised him. And the Lord said, The outcry of the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see whether they have acted as vilely and wickedly as the outcry which has come to me indicates. And if not, I will know. Now the two men, angelic beings, turned away from there and went toward Sodom. But Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Abraham approached the Lord and said, "Will you really sweep away the righteous, those who do right, with the wicked, those who do evil? Suppose there are 50 righteous people within the city. Will you really sweep it away and not spare it for the sake of 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to strike the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right by executing just and righteous judgment?" So the Lord said, "If I find within the city of Sodom 50 righteous people, then I will spare the entire place for their sake." Abraham answered, "Now behold, I am but dust in origin, and ashes have decided to speak to the Lord. If 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking, will you destroy the entire city for lack of 5? And he said, "If I find at least 45 righteous people there, I will not destroy it." Abraham spoke to him yet again and said, "Suppose only 40 are found there." And he said, "I will not do it for the sake of 40 who are righteous." Then Abraham said to him, "Oh, may the Lord not be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 righteous people are found there." And he said, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." And he said, "Now behold, I have decided to speak to the Lord again. Suppose only 20 righteous people are found there." And the Lord said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 20 of the 20. Then Abraham said, "Oh, may the Lord not be angry with me, and I will speak only this once. Suppose 10 righteous people are found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. As soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his own place. Psalms 5. Prayer for protection from the wicked. To the chief musician on wind instruments, a psalm of David. Listen to my words, O Lord, consider my groaning and sighing. Heed the sound of my cry for help, my King and my God. For to you I pray. In the morning, O Lord, you will hear my voice. In the morning I will prepare a prayer and sacrifice for you, and watch and wait for you to speak to my heart. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness. No evil person dwells with you. The boastful and the arrogant will not stand in your sight. You hate all who do evil. You destroy those who tell lies. The Lord detests and rejects the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. But as for me, I will enter your house through the abundance of your steadfast love and tender mercy. At your holy temple I will bow obediently in reverence for you. O Lord, lead me in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight, direct right before me. For there is nothing trustworthy or reliable or truthful in what they say. Their heart is destruction, just a treacherous chasm, a yawning gulf of lies. Their throat is an open grave. They glibly flatter, and with their silken tongue, hold them guilty, O God. Let them fall by their own designs and counsels. Cast them out because of the abundance of their transgressions. For they are mutinous and have rebelled against you. But let all who take refuge and put their trust in you rejoice. Let them ever sing for joy, because you cover and shelter them. Let those who love your name be joyful and exult in you. For you, O Lord, bless the righteous man, the one who is in right standing with you. You surround him with favor as with a shield.